Can a championship-caliber roster really crumble because of what's happening between the pipes? The Edmonton Oilers are staring down a crisis that nobody saw coming. This is a team loaded with offensive firepower, boasting two of the most electrifying players in hockey, and yet they're floundering like a ship taking on water. The culprit? It's not the forwards. It's not the defense. It's the goaltending, that age-old Achilles heel that has haunted Edmonton for what feels like an eternity. And now, with the season slipping away game by game, one prominent analyst is sounding the alarm. It's time for the Oilers to make a move in net, and he's got three names that could either save their season or represent the kind of calculated gamble that defines championship runs. Jamie McLennan, a former NHL goaltender turned analyst, dropped some truth bombs on the Barn Burner podcast that have Oilers fans simultaneously nodding in agreement and wincing at the potential cost. He's not hitting the panic button entirely. McLennan still believes in Edmonton's traditional post-Christmas surge and thinks they'll make the playoffs. But here's the kicker. He doesn't believe they can do it with their current goaltending tandem of Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. And when an analyst who knows the position inside and out starts floating trade scenarios involving Jordan Binnington, Juuse Saros, and Elvis Merzlikins, you know the situation has reached a critical juncture. The goaltending elephant that's crushing Edmonton's dreams lets address what everyone in oil country already knows, but doesn't want to admit. The goaltending hasn't been good enough. Stuart Skinner, who showed flashes of brilliance last season, has been inconsistent at best. Calvin Pickard, who was a revelation in limited action last year, hasn't replicated that magic. Together, they've left the Oilers vulnerable in games they should be dominating, turning comfortable leads into nail-biters and winnable contests into frustrating losses. McLennan didn't mince words when he identified goaltending as the elephant in the room. This isn't about scapegoating or unfairly criticizing players who are giving their best effort. It's about cold, hard reality. When you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl leading your offense, when you have the talent to compete with anyone in the league, your goaltending can't be the weak link that costs you games. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. The numbers tell a sobering story. The Oilers are hemorrhaging goals at crucial moments, watching leads evaporate because their netminders can't make the timely save that shifts momentum. It's not that Skinner and Pickard are terrible, they're NHL-caliber goaltenders. But in a league where the margins between success and failure are razor-thin, NHL caliber might not be enough when you're trying to win a Stanley Cup. Jordan Binnington, the ultimate competitor with championship pedigree. McLennan's first suggestion was Jordan Binnington, and it's a name that immediately makes sense for multiple reasons. Binnington isn't just a goaltender, he's a proven winner with a Stanley Cup ring from 2019 when he backstopped the St. Louis Blues to their first championship in franchise history. He's got that intangible quality that every playoff team craves. He's clutch, he's competitive, and he thrives under pressure. McLennan labeled Binnington as the ultimate competitor, and anyone who's watched him play knows exactly what that means. This is a goaltender who doesn't just stop pucks. He battles for every inch of the crease, he gets under opponent's skin, and he elevates his game when the stakes are highest. In a playoff series, when emotions run high and every save matters, Binnington is exactly the kind of goaltender you want protecting your net. The St. Louis situation adds another layer of intrigue. The Blues are struggling, sitting well outside playoff contention, and facing some difficult decisions about their roster construction. Binnington, at 31 years old, is entering the latter stages of his prime. Does it make sense for St. Louis to hold onto him while they rebuild, or would they be better served trading him to a contender for assets that can help them in the future? McLennan didn't rule out a scenario where the Blues might consider moving Binnington, and that possibility should have Edmonton's front office paying very close attention. The challenge, of course, is Binnington's contract. He signed through 2027 at a $6 million cap hit, which isn't outrageous for a starting goaltender, but does require some financial maneuvering for a cap-strapped team like Edmonton. Still, if you're the Oilers and you believe Binnington gives you a legitimate chance to win now, you find a way to make the money work. Juuse Saros, elite talent wasted on a terrible team. If Binnington represents a proven winner, Juuse Saros represents elite talent that's been criminally underappreciated because he's playing for a Nashville Predators team that's been an absolute disaster this season. McLennan called Saros elite on a junk team, and that assessment is spot on. This is a goaltender who has consistently posted exceptional numbers despite playing behind a defense that often leaves him hung out to dry. Saros is 29 years old and in his absolute prime. His athleticism is off the charts. He moves laterally with the speed and precision of a much smaller goaltender despite standing 5 feet 11 inches. His rebound control is excellent, his positioning is textbook, and his ability to steal games single-handedly is exactly what Edmonton needs. Put Saros behind the Oilers' offense, and suddenly you're looking at a team that can legitimately compete for a championship. The numbers back up McLennan's assessment. Even with Nashville's struggles, Saros has maintained respectable statistics that would likely improve dramatically with better defensive support. Imagine what he could do with Edmonton's talent in front of him, with McDavid and Draisaitl controlling possession and limiting high-danger chances against. It's the kind of partnership that could transform the Oilers from playoff hopefuls to genuine Stanley Cup favorites. But here's where things get complicated. Saros' contract. He's signed through 2033. Yes, you read that correctly, 2033, at a cap hit of $7.74 million per season. That's a massive commitment, both in terms of dollars and years. For a team like Edmonton that needs to carefully manage its cap space to keep its core together, taking on that contract is a significant risk. If Saros returns to his elite form, it's a bargain. If his numbers don't bounce back, or if injuries become an issue as he ages, it could become an albatross that handcuffs the organization for years. McLennan seems confident that Saros would thrive on a better team, and history suggests he's probably right. Elite goaltenders tend to elevate their game when surrounded by better talent. But the Oilers would need to be absolutely certain before committing to that contract, because there's no easy exit if things don't work out. Elvis Merzlikins. The wild card lateral move, the third name McLennan floated was Elvis Merzlikins, and this one's interesting because it represents more of a lateral move than an outright upgrade. McLennan called Merzlikins a strange goaltender, which is perhaps the most diplomatic way to describe a player whose career has been defined by inconsistency and flashes of brilliance mixed with stretches of mediocrity. Merzlikins burst onto the scene with the Columbus Blue Jackets a few years ago, posting impressive numbers and looking like a potential franchise goaltender. Since then, his performance has been up and down, and now he's facing a new challenge. Jet Greaves is pushing him for playing time in Columbus. When a younger, cheaper goaltender starts threatening your job, it's usually a sign that a change of scenery might benefit everyone involved. The appeal of Merzlikins is twofold. First, he's still relatively young at 30 years old and could benefit from a fresh start with a contending team. Sometimes all a goaltender needs is a new environment, better defensive support, and the confidence that comes from playing meaningful games. Second, his contract is more manageable than Saros, making him a more realistic acquisition for a cap-strapped team. The downside is obvious. There's no guarantee that Merzlikins would be any better than what Edmonton currently has. This is truly a lateral move, a bet that a change of scenery and better circumstances would unlock whatever potential made Columbus believe in him in the first place. It's the kind of move you make when you're desperate for something different, but can't afford the premium price for a proven commodity. The bigger question, do the Oilers have a choice? All three of these potential acquisitions come with significant challenges. Binnington would require convincing St. Louis to trade within the Western Conference to a potential rival. Saros comes with a contract that could haunt Edmonton for years if things go wrong. Merzlikins is a gamble that might not pay off at all. But here's the uncomfortable truth that Oilers management needs to confront. Doing nothing might be the biggest risk of all. This team is too talented to be struggling like this. The window with McDavid and Draisaitl in their primes won't stay open forever. Every season that passes without a legitimate Stanley Cup run is a wasted opportunity, and right now, goaltending is the primary obstacle standing between Edmonton and championship contention. McLennan acknowledged that Much of what's plaguing the Oilers has to do with energy levels, motivation, and players not performing up to their potential. The goalies are sometimes being left out to dry by defensive breakdowns and lack of effort. But even accounting for those factors, there are legitimate questions about whether Skinner and Pickard can be the guys who carry Edmonton through a grueling playoff run. The post-Christmas surge. Hope or false comfort? McLennan expressed confidence in Edmonton's traditional post-Christmas surge, that annual phenomenon where the Oilers seem to flip a switch and start playing like the elite team everyone expects them to be. Historically, he's not wrong. Edmonton has shown a pattern of slow starts followed by strong finishes. But banking on history repeating itself is dangerous when the underlying issues remain unresolved. If the goaltending doesn't improve, if Skinner and Pickard continue to be inconsistent, will a post-Christmas surge even matter? You can outscore your problems in the regular season, but playoff hockey is different. When games tighten up, when every mistake is magnified, when you're facing the league's best offenses night after night, you need goaltending you can trust. Right now, it's unclear whether Edmonton has that. The cost of inaction every day the Oilers wait to address their goaltending situation is another day closer to the trade deadline, another day where potential solutions might get snatched up by other teams, another day where their playoff positioning becomes more precarious. General Manager Ken Holland, or whoever is making these decisions, needs to seriously evaluate whether this team can win with its current goaltending tandem. If the answer is no, then the time to act is now, not in March when options are limited and prices are inflated. Binnington, Saros, or Merzlikins might not be perfect solutions, but they represent the kind of calculated risks that championship teams sometimes need to take. Standing pat and hoping things improve on their own is a strategy, but it's not necessarily a winning one. A franchise at a crossroads, the Edmonton Oilers find themselves at a familiar and frustrating crossroads. They have the offensive talent to compete with anyone. They have two generational players in McDavid and Draisaitl. They have a roster that, on paper, should be a Stanley Cup contender. But they also have a goaltending situation that threatens to derail everything. Jamie McLennan's suggestions, Binnington, Saros, Merzlikins, represent different levels of risk and reward. Each comes with complications, each requires difficult decisions, and each could either save Edmonton's season or become another chapter in the franchise's long history of near misses and what-ifs. The question facing Oilers management is simple but profound. Are they willing to make a bold move to address their most glaring weakness, or will they convince themselves that the current situation is good enough? Because in the NHL, good enough rarely wins championships, and time is running out for this talented core to finally break through. What's your take on this? Should the Oilers pull the trigger on one of these goalie trades, or do you think Skinner and Pickard deserve more time to figure things out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious whether you'd go all in on Saros despite that massive contract, take a chance on Binnington's championship experience, or roll the dice with Merzlikins. Hit that like button if you think Edmonton's goaltending is the real story of their season. And let's keep this debate going, because something's got to give in oil country.